So, have you ever thought about what a blurry photo really is? Well, today we're going to treat it like a crime scene. Seriously. The perfect original image, that's our victim. And the blur, the noise, the corruption, that's our culprit. We're going to put on our detective hats and see how math is basically the ultimate forensic tool for cracking the case and finding the truth hidden in the pixels.
So, where does any investigation begin? With the evidence, of course. We've got this corrupted image, and our job, our mission really, is to peel back all those layers of damage and figure out what the original picture looked like. We're literally reversing the crime.
And this is what that process looks like. You start with the clean, original image on the left. Then, some kind of degradation process, that's our criminal act, messes it all up. What we're left with is the observed image in the middle. Our job as detectives is to use our mathematical toolkit to reverse that damage and hopefully get back to something really close to the original.
Now, it's super important to get this straight. This isn't about slapping on an Instagram filter to make a photo look prettier. That's called image enhancement, and it's totally subjective. What we're talking about is image restoration. It's objective. It's a serious estimation process using math to recover the signal that was actually lost. We're trying to find what was really there.
You know, any good detective will tell you, you can't solve the crime if you don't understand the criminal. So, first things first, we need to profile the suspects. We have to understand all the different ways an image can get messed up in the first place.
And believe it or not, there's kind of a universal formula for this whole crime. That F you see, that's our victim, the original, clean image. Our first suspect, H, is a blurring operator. Think of it like a shaky camera or an out-of-focus lens. Then, our second culprit, N, is additive noise. You know, that grainy static you sometimes see? So basically, almost any messed up image is just the original that got blurred and then had some noise sprinkled on top.
Right, and these culprits, they have different MOs, different methods of attack. You've got additive noise, which is just random static, maybe from the camera sensor getting warm. But then you have something really distinct, like impulse noise. Look at this one. We call it salt and pepper noise. See those crazy bright white and dark black dots? That's a classic signature of something going wrong when the data was sent, like a transmission error.
Okay, so we've profiled our suspects. We know what we're up against. Now it's time to open up the digital toolkit and check out the forensic instruments we're going to use to clean up this crime scene.
So let's start with that salt and pepper noise we just saw. How in the world do you clean that up? How do you get rid of those extreme black and white pixels without just wrecking the rest of the image?
Well, check this out. We use something called a median filter. Now, instead of just averaging a pixel and its neighbors, which would just smear that crazy bright 255 value all over the place, the filter does something clever. It lists out all the pixel values in that little neighborhood, sorts them from lowest to highest, and just picks the one in the middle. And just like that, the 255 outlier is thrown out, and the pixel is replaced with a much more sensible 14. It's an absolutely brilliant way to get rid of that salt and pepper noise.
Of course, just like in any good detective story, it's never that easy. There's always a complication, right? Our best tool comes with a trade-off, a hidden cost.
And here it is, the huge trade-off in noise removal. See, to get more cleaning power, we can tell our filter to look at a bigger neighborhood of pixels, a larger window. But just watch what happens to the cameraman here. As we go from a tiny window to a bigger one, yeah, the noise disappears, but the image gets way, way blurrier. We're essentially trading sharpness for cleanliness, and that's a compromise we always have to wrestle with.
Now, up until this point, we've been assuming we know what caused the damage. But what if we don't? What happens when we show up to the crime scene and we have no idea who the culprit was or what weapon they used? Well, that is the cold case of image restoration.
This is what's known as the two unknowns problem. Usually, we at least know what kind of blur we're dealing with. But in a situation called blind deconvolution, we have two unknowns, the original image and the blur itself. And we have to solve for both of them at the same time. It's exponentially harder.
The best way to think about this challenge is to picture a giant mountain range. Finding the true, perfect image is like trying to find the absolute lowest valley in that entire range, the global minimum. The problem is, a lot of simple, fast methods just fall into the first valley they see. That's a local minimum. It might look okay, but it's a false lead. It's not the right answer. Getting to the real answer often means using complex methods that can climb out of those traps. But man, they can be incredibly slow.
And if we peek into our more advanced toolkit, yeah, there's no silver bullet here. Some methods are fast, but they risk getting stuck in that local minimum trap. Others are way more reliable at finding the real answer, but they take forever. And some even create new problems, like those weird ringing artifacts you can see around sharp edges. Every single tool has a major risk attached.
So, let's say we've done all the work. We've applied our tools. We have a restored image. The final question is, did we do it? Did we solve the case? How do we even know? How do we judge our own work and prove we actually made things better?
Well, in the lab, we use a couple of key numbers. First is the BSNR, the blurred signal-to-noise ratio. Think of this as us assessing the crime scene. It just tells us how bad the damage is. Then, after we do our thing, we calculate the ISNR, the improvement in signal-to-noise ratio. This basically tells us how much better we made it. If we get a positive number, hey, we've improved the evidence. Success.
But there's a catch. And oh boy, it is a big one. It's a fundamental problem with this whole investigation that kind of changes, well, everything.
And here it is. We can call it the God view constraint. Remember that ISNR number, our proof that we did a good job? Well, to calculate it, you have to compare your restored image to the original perfect one. In a lab, sure, that's easy. But out here in the real world, the original image is the whole reason we're doing this. It's the one thing we don't have. If we had it, we wouldn't be in this mess. In any real-world case, the ground truth is always, always unknown.
So what does that mean? It means our best mathematical proof of success is totally useless in the real world, which leaves us with a really big and kind of unsettling final question. We see restored images everywhere, right? On the news, from security cameras, and medical scans, all over the place. But if we can never mathematically prove that a real-world restoration is actually correct, then how much should we really trust the images we see every single day?